So in today's video, we're going to review linked tables and why you would do them and how to set them up. So why would you use a linked table? There's a couple reasons to use linked tables versus having tables within your database itself. So what we're going to do with this is we're going to split and have a backend, which is where the data is going to be. The only thing in that database will be the data tables. And in the front end, we will have everything else. So we'll have the linked tables. So we'll show you how that works in a second. And then we'll have the queries, the forms, any data, any macros, anything like that, any code, everything will be in that front table. And that will be called the front end. So there's a back end and the front end. And we do this for a couple different reasons. One is storage. So when you have a database with queries and forms, that takes up space. And then obviously the data takes up space too. So by separating the two things, you can have databases which are larger. It can also be more stable because that data is now separate from the code. So code, forms, they sometimes crash. You sometimes have issue with that, especially in a Microsoft Access. By putting the data into a separate database, when that front end crashes, typically it does not touch your data. Your data is not lost. It's not corrupted. If you have a front end where all of your forms and queries are, you may have multiple copies of that. If your data is also in there and you back that up, a week ago, any data that you've entered will be lost. But if it's a linked table, if your tables are in a different back end, presuming you haven't made any changes to code or queries or anything like that, even if it's a week old and it crashes, that back end is still there typically. It typically doesn't get affected by any crashes on the front end. So let's get into it. So here we've got data. This is just 4 tables of data. This is all that's in here. So there's no code in here. There's no queries. You can see I'm showing all access objects here. There is nothing else in here except for the data. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new database. So I'm just going to do it this way. So this will be our new front end. We're going to open this up, enable content. So we're going to open this up, and what we're going to go is we're going to go into and create an external data link for this. So you can see on the external data tab, there's import and link, and we're going to go new data source from database, and for this one, it's going to be Microsoft Access. If you were using SQL Server, Azure, anything like that, you could be using Oracle. Those would be naturally separate databases. But what we see a lot of times with Access is people use the Access tables, the data, and the front end together. And this is just forcing you to do what you would have to be forced to do if you were using one of these other formats. Okay, so let's go find our data. So it is on the desktop, and it is this right here. So we can either import or link. So just real quick, I just want to show import. If we wanted to import this data and bring this in, we could. There's nothing else in that database, so there would be nothing else to import. So we could actually import these tables, but that's not what we're going to do today. So we're going to go back, go to Access, and we're going to go, I usually click down here first, link the data source by creating a linked table, and then we're going to click there, and then we're going to hit OK. And then we want to select all of these. So I'm holding down. Actually, you don't need to hold anything down. So you just click on all the ones that you want to select, and then, or you can hit select all, obviously, and you hit OK. And those are now linked. So as you can see, it's a little bit difficult with this color scheme, but there's a little blue arrow here. This shows you that this is a linked table, as opposed to just being a normal table. If I was to create a normal table, and I was just call this save table 1. You can see this does not have a blue arrow next to it. This is a local table as opposed to a linked table. But once I open up those linked tables, you can see they work exactly the same as a local table. The data's here. I'm able to open it. I'm able to open it quickly, and then I'm able to use this. Linked tables can also be useful when you have multiple people accessing data at once. Microsoft Access does not work very well when multiple people open the same front end where the same code, the same forms are running. It is possible. It is not recommended. But with a shared back end, multiple people can open that back end through their own front ends, and multiple people can work on this data at the same time with no issues. But they would not be able to share just a single front end file, or it wouldn't be recommended that they share a single front end file. So that's another reason that you could use this. Like I said, this will work the same way you use anything else. So if you wanted to create a query, you would just pull in these tables, you can link them, do all the same things that you would always do, and save that query, run it, everything would work the same. With this data, obviously this right now it's on my desktop, but it could be in a shared folder. It could be on a network drive, or you just use it locally. If you just wanted to use it for yourself, you were the only user of this, you wanted to put on your desktop. Even in that case, it's highly recommended to do these splits, especially when there's a lot of data or you're editing a lot of data. So that way, if your back end does or your front end does crash, it doesn't affect your back. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Please also share. Please go ahead and check out my other videos on my page. Have a great day.